It's early Sunday morning. In 360 Salvation Army Corps, women, men, and children raise their voices in joyful celebration. But the Salvation Army of Canada and Bermuda isn't just a church, and worship isn't just a Sunday thing. God is celebrated and worshipped every day of the week in Army residences, harbor light centers, family service offices, and even prisons. Music is the Army's heart and soul. Children and their parents whoop it up before dispersing to Sunday school classes.
We Israelites, including myself and my father's house.
Of course, studying God's Word and dealing with life's challenges isn't just for kids. This Corps even hosts a program for immigrants who speak Laotian. The Salvation Army is a large, diverse community which embraces people of all races, religions, and circumstances, no matter how humble. We're God's extended family.
I was talking to Kenny's dad, and he said that Kenny was accepted in the group home. Do you want to talk about that?
At Broadview Village, a center for young people with developmental handicaps, the morning begins with talk and music too.
Smile a while and give your face a rest.
Come on, Kenny, sing nice.
To the one you love the best.
I think the biggest challenge is because it's such a diverse group, it's to be able to find learning opportunities for everyone, and which is why we usually divide into small groups so that everybody has an opportunity to learn new goals and to set goals for themselves.
To have residents come into our program, we accept the whosoever. It doesn't matter the race, creed, or color. We accept them into our program. They don't have to be Christian to come into our program.
We have some people who are learning skills such as community safety, so that they can actually go out in the community alone. So it might be awareness of street lights and looking both ways before they cross the road.
The residents at Broadview Village are very special. They can teach you a lot of things. They're loving, they're caring, they show humility. They're just great people, and I think we can learn a lot from them.
Learning is what it's all about in so many ways. When you fled turmoil and repression in a far-off land, learning English at a Salvation Army refugee center is the key to a Canadian job.
Okay, so we use past tense when we talk about yesterday, last year, this morning. Why this morning? Because it's in the past. Right, Jenny. This morning, a few days ago, on Friday.
The Army assists immigrants and refugees with English classes, accommodation, clothing, whatever it takes to get established in Canada.
And they helped me a lot of my immigration process, lawyer, and etc. At the beginning, they give me good heart. This is important. Now we need good heart because we're away from our family. We need somebody to understand us.
Of course, overseas, in the countries they have fled from, Army officers and generous donations from Salvationists are making the best of extremely difficult situations. Our extended family stretches around the world. In Montreal, St. John's, Vancouver, most Canadian cities, addicts and alcoholics are trying to learn another kind of basic lesson, to live rather than die. Richard Bellevaux progressed from personal disaster through a recovery program to become director of the Army's Anchorage Center in Montreal.
For the last year of my addiction, which I was a coke addict for 8 years, I was sniffing 2 grams of coke every day, 7 days a week. The worst part is I was married, had 4 kids. My wife and my kids didn't know I was using. Because the first thing I realized is I didn't have control of my life. I didn't know what to do with it. So I said, since I don't know what to do with it, you want my life, take it and do something with it.
Salvation Army addictions programs and detox centers are open to anyone, the first, second, or fifth time they try to kick their habit.
It was pretty hard. Sometimes I would say, maybe I should just go home. But inside of me, it was, no, I need to do this for myself. I need to get better. Because if I didn't have this place to come to, I would have kept using. And by using, I would have just killed myself.
So altogether, we're cooking for 16 people.
This Army soldier is another winner. From addict and prostitute to community worker in an Army Family Services Center.
My life on the street was a nightmare. It was a living hell. You know, there's an expression, you make your own heaven and hell right here on earth, and I was living in hell. I had nobody. I walked around most of the time in a facade pretending. And in reality, I was a broken, broken soul.
The people that we service can come here and they can know that they're going to be treated with some dignity and respect. They know that they're going to get some support. We're not going to leave them high and dry. We're going to help them work through some of the difficulties that they're facing in their lives. The biggest challenge that they face is trying to survive on the meager income that they have.
I'd like you to do a little bit of homework this week. I'd like you to make a list of all the bills that you have to pay in 1 month. So
what keeps me going today is knowing that I am truly loved. I'm loved first and foremost by God. I'm loved and accepted by my family in my Corps, the Salvation Army. And I think that I'm being used today. All of the experiences of my past are being used for the good of those who love Him, as it says in the Bible. So I can take that, draw from it, and give back to community that I once took from.
Poverty in the inner city is no surprise. But even in prosperous suburbs, Army Corps have been prompted to create food banks and bolster social services.
The Salvation Army was raised up to be an extension of God's love. But if we were to forget about the person who doesn't have food, or a person who's cold, or nowhere to stay, or one who's just emotionally in turmoil, if we forget about that, I think we've forgotten part of the mission of the Salvation Army.
This single mom is struggling on a low income and fighting to get help and special education for her son, who has Tourette's syndrome.
Kids have really got big since the summer, since I saw them. How have they been doing?
Pretty good.
How's Jeff with his Tourette's syndrome?
Oh, he's doing okay.
Good.
He's doing a lot better than he was last year. He has some extra help at school, some remedial help, and we have the Tourette's Syndrome Association, York Region chapter, advocating for us.
So I know things are tight. How's your finances?
I'm a little bit strapped for cash right now.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess all the extra things you have to pay for with Jeffrey and his Tourette's and all those things?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you need a food hamper today?
That would be wonderful.
Okay,
Thank
great,
you.
good.
Not everyone escapes from the street. So naturally, the Salvation Army is there with food, blankets, and a kind word for those who are living rough.
I've slept outside for 13 years. It's a long time. We're getting too old now for this. And I really appreciate the Salvation Army. They served me for quite a while now. I used to sleep down in the park at Rosedale Road and Park Road, but I had to move out of there because of the wind direction and all of the snow.
We supply food, clothing, counseling, blankets, and referrals to youth that are living on the street between the ages of 16 and 24. A lot of the youth that come down to the streets come down because of abusive relationships at home. They come down because of they have alcohol or drug problems, or they've been kicked out by their parents.
I have woken up in the parks. I have found friends with their throats cut. I have seen friends get beat, raped, and robbed. You got to worry about where you're going to sleep. You got to worry about who's going to rob you, who's going to kill you. You know, life on the street is just one big worry.
When young people run afoul of the law, they can be jailed in what are often called schools for crime. Or if they're lucky, they can get a chance at Cuthbert House to consider more positive options. This young man, For legal reasons, his face can't be revealed, has just quit his job in a warehouse after a dispute with a manager. His counselor wants to know why.
So Mike, has anger been an issue for you in the past? Have you blown up before? Are you usually impulsive with your anger or behaviors, or?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I'm here for.
Yeah? So what do you think that you can do about that? Or how can we help you deal with that?
I don't know, I haven't given it much thought.
Well, maybe it's something to think about. I mean, you need to help yourself as well, right? But we can also help you or assist you somehow.
Yeah, I could use some help.
The residents that are with us are young offenders. They've committed offenses. They have to be held accountable and responsible for their behaviors. They are also victims in that many of them have received abuse in a whole host of forms, emotional, physical, sexual, and they're acting out many of their unresolved issues. It's going to take a period of time to deal with those things, to work on the issues that brought them into conflict with the law, and then to apply what they've learned so that they can go back out into the community and be successful.
The Salvation Army will always be there for young people who are lost and alone. But with Canada's population aging rapidly, the elderly also need a little tender loving care. The Army manages a growing number of seniors' residences and nursing homes where the goal is to maximize the quality of life. Regular exercise and good food are as important at 80 as they are at 8.
In the little village of Bethlehem,
Of course, music is as important here as anywhere in the Salvation Army. When the end of life is near, the Salvation Army is once again on hand, this time with palliative care programs and hospices.
It's not a pretty thing. Death is not. And most people don't want to talk about it, never mind work with it.
I set out to prove that you can have a happy life and be single. But now I've come to the end of my life, and the Salvation Army is taking care of me. And I'm grateful to them.
If God could pull Jesus Christ from the pit, as it were, verse 3 talks about Christ has been resurrected from the dead. If he can do that, surely he can give us some kind of hope so that we might be able to hang on in the midst of the greatest of anguish in your home or in your life.
A former Prime Minister of Canada, Arthur Meehan, once described the Salvation Army as a religious force with an acute social conscience, which pretty well sums it up. You could also say the Army is people who care. There's no force and no conscience without thousands of corps members, officers, staff, volunteers, and donors. The Army receives government funding for many programs, but our work would collapse without generous contributions from corporations and Canadians like you. Likewise, Army centers are staffed by able professionals, but the work can't go on without the kindness and love of volunteers. We look to God for guidance, and to women and men across Canada and Bermuda for the hours and dollars which sustain us. Together, we're God's extended family.